You know how when you stumble across a new knife and just based on its looks alone, you're like, oh my God, I need this. And please, let it be a normal knife. Nothing weird going on. That's exactly what I thought when I first laid my eyes on this Sencut Acumen. So today I'm going to review it and show you everything that I now know after all my time spent carrying it. Hey, if this is your first time here, my name's Jay. Welcome to the channel. Now go ahead and consider clicking on that subscribe if you're looking for knife reviews to get right to the point. Up on the screen now is some specs. They're all measurements that I took myself, but I'll also list them for you down in the description, along with like the links to buy and if there's any coupon codes. Here's a couple size comparisons for you, just so you can get an idea that the true size we're working with today. So we've got, of course, the Penguin up on top, then the October, Banter, and then down at the bottom is the Biblio. Now, the Latin translation for the word acumen, that means sharp point. So, you know what? Great name, guys. Good work. I absolutely love this wide drop point blade shape that measures about 1.28 inches at its widest point across. And to put that into perspective for you, that's wider than the Praxis, which comes in at about 1.26 inches. So, yeah, that surprised me too. Now, if you live somewhere with like blade length restrictions, hey, don't worry because it is under the 3 inches at about 2.98. And the blade steel is going to be the same as most Sencut knives, 9CR18 MOV, which is also the exact same steel that's used here on the Civivi Backlash and Praxis. This blade also has something that for some reason we're seeing less and less of nowadays, and that's a full flat grind, which I really like because that gives the blade, plenty of room to go ahead and taper down to a really nice thin edge, which, usually means it's going to be a heck of a slicer. So why don't we go ahead and just see how well that this 3mm thick blade stock, see how well it cuts. Now, so far, this is only going to be available, wow, with a black blade and either in like this red, there's black, purple, or natural colored G10. Holy cow. Ooh, that is pretty darn effortless. You know how sometimes knives with two different opening options are going to have one method, maybe that works better than the other. Like maybe the blade flies open when you're using that thumb hole, but if you go ahead and use the flipper deployment, it's not so hot and easy to fail. Or, hey, maybe the flipper works great, but you can't even get that blade to budge with the, using the thumb hole. So forget about Spidey flicking because it's not going to happen. Well, let me tell you right now, that is absolutely not the case here. Those types of problems, they usually have to do with the detent. It's not properly tuned to accommodate the two different options. And honestly, that kind of bugs me because, why even have that second option available? Flipper opening is very consistent, and it really is. It's difficult for me to get it to fail. And then using that thumb hole, it shoots that blade out with authority, especially, when I Spidey flick it. Yet I can still go ahead and do like a nice controlled slow roll without that blade, trying to jump open when I don't want it to. What's also super important though is going to be access to that thumb hole, because I've just seen too many times where, righties will have enough room to fit 3 thumbs in there, and us lefties, we get shafted with a partially obstructed thumb hole that, can't even be used. Well, they thought of that too, because as you can see, there is just about the same amount of room on both sides. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Okay, wait a second, Jay. If the amount of room between the handle and the thumb hole are the same on both sides, then access to that lock bar, it's got to be terrible. Well, actually, no, it's not at all. And if you look at it from this perspective, you can see, yeah, there's a little bit that's sticking out and it's jimped. So far, I haven't had any problems with it. And let me tell you, closing the knife is just as satisfying as the opening because, well, it's got, of course, ceramic ball bearing pivots. So you could see with just a couple quick shakes. Oh, yeah, she sure does drop shut. And it was doing that like right out of the box. And as usual, centering, on my example at least, is, man, that's just about perfect. And then when it's open, I would say mine is probably locking up about 35%. Now, in a second, we have to talk about this handle here because it kind of leads into one of the two issues that I actually have with this knife, which more than likely are going to affect you too. But first, I have to go ahead and show you the inside here, and I grabbed my other version so I can demonstrate this because it, honestly, look at that. It has like some of the most extensive skeletonization that I've ever seen on a budget knife before. You would think with all that, not that it's heavy, but I just thought that maybe it would be a little bit lighter than the 3.7 ounces. We get the standard, Sencut / Civivi deep carry pocket clip. It's not too long, so it doesn't take up too much room with the handle, and it's even switchable to the other side. So yeah, they're showing us lefties some love. It really does ride nice in the pocket, but keep in mind, anytime, of course, you have a wider blade, that usually means it's going to be a little bit wider in the closed width. But hey, don't worry though, because it is still under that 1.5 inch threshold, that some people like to have, and that thinner 0.47 inch handle thickness, that's also going to go ahead and help offset some of that width as well. The G10 handle, it is very, very comfortable, and it's going to be because of that really pronounced kind of curvature, but unfortunately that also makes this handle kind of feel shorter than its a 4.26 inch measured length. Usually I'm good with any handle that is no shorter than 3.75 inches. I mean, anything less, and then I'm not going to be able to fit all fingers. But even though this one is, it's over the 4 inches, you can see I'm just, barely able to get my last finger on there with my medium-sized hand. But of course, I got a theory, because one thing that would, have helped give us maybe a little bit more grip area, regardless of what size your hand is, would be a nice, usable forward finger choil. Kind of like what they did here on the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio. So it's got a shorter handle, but you're able to choke up. So it just makes the knife seem a little bit bigger. And yeah, that would potentially mean, less usable sharpened edge on an already smaller knife. But for me, at least, that's a compromise I'm willing to make. And hey, if you're not, well, never mind then. Nothing to see here because it's a non-issue. And then my other problem with this is going to be, well, the $45 price tag. I feel like they could do a little bit better than that, especially since you can currently pick up like the Backlash or the Praxis for around $37. And those are, well, they're both considerably larger knives, and they're made with similar materials. And I know we're only talking about a couple dollars difference, but isn't Sencut the budget brand of Civivi? I mean, so how in the heck can it cost more? Now, I know that this is kind of a stretch, but wouldn't it be kind of weird if a Civivi cost more than a Wii? I mean, obviously, it didn't bother me that much. I still love this knife because, well, here I am with two of them. And even with those minor issues, this Acumen has totally replaced my previous favorite Sencut, the Scepter. And if I ever lost or broke either of these Acumen, I mean, you better believe I'll be buying a new replacement. You know, I almost forgot to show you my new little knife pouch that I got from Orion Knives because, well, my buddy David over at the Blade Banner channel and designer of this Orion Solaris, he went ahead and sent it over to me, and I absolutely I love it. And you can see, look at that. Yeah, it actually holds 4 knives, and get this, it even comes with like with this giant, well, that's not even all the way opened yet, this giant like beach towel sized polishing cloth, and all that, $20. And link to it will be down in the description for you. And be sure to go ahead and check out my new merch store. You can get to it by going to the channel, clicking on the store tab, or there will be a link down in the description because I just added a brand new t-shirt design. So you got to check it out. And then right now, there's going to be a video that's up on the screen. It's one that I personally picked out just for you to go ahead and watch right after this one. So, hey, I got to run though. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Don't forget, click on subscribe, and I'll see you at the next video. Take care.